at 7 p.m. But if you've watched today with me, then don't feel free to just ignore it. It's not anything new. It's simply this. I just cut out this part of the live stream so that people don't have to watch the entire live stream. Because that's a whole lot of mo. And, some of us are on a low mo diet. All right. So, day 7. Oh, what's wrong with. He hears that the youngest feral ones have come home and he would like to join them in their revelry and craziness. Okay, sir. All right, I'm just going to do notes. You just keep flicking me with your tail. So, this today opened kind of almost the same as yesterday. As soon as Brian and all of the lawyers were, called together for kind of the judge's pre-start day, there were two very long breaks. Brian continues to look more and more careworn. I don't know if he's run out of suits or if his mom thinks he looks more innocent in the adult Garanimal sweater set. No, he doesn't. But, then we got to, no, today isn't day 7. Oh, for the love of Cheetos. I love that I've paid so much attention to my notes today. It's like, why is today? I swear that wasn't today. It's been a long day. Can't you tell? Aha. I am a genius, but only in my own brain. This is what happens when you date or when you number your notes, but you start at 1 every day, which may be a reason I need to change my system. Aha. So they did, now the judge did put something on the record today, but we're not sure what the judge put on the record. And she did ask for both parties, the Commonwealth and the defense, to turn in their 2 pages of documents. Again, I am not sure what she meant about that. And then there were 2 fairly long sidebars. And then we did get into the voir dire of Jem, Kem, or Jim. Now, they basically were going into what exactly Anna talked with him about. And there was kind of a clear disconnect. And I don't know if it was because Jem was so nervous or because the Commonwealth, in a very unusual stumble for them as far as preparation and being on top of things. This is the first day that the Commonwealth has really stumbled. Apparently, Jim was not reached out to prior to this to go over his transcript of the interview he did when all of these sort of things were fresh in his mind. Now, it turns out that he had actually met Brian during this whole leadership acceleration programmy deal. It sounds like a self-help group slash cult that you can RSVP me no from. But if it worked for, some people, hey, I'm not going to rain on your parade. So it seems like the primary point of contact, at least at first, between Jem and the Walshes was Brian because they were in the same class and they were buddies together. Now, Anna had been through this leadership program, I guess the class prior or what have you, and she knew that Jem was kind of in real estate, so she kind of encouraged Brian to become his buddy. And then it seems like their kind of relationship, went forward. Anna did go on to work for Jem for a while as his district coordinator or sort of like his office manager slash work wife-ish thing. And this is where we get into the 2 kind of difficult witnesses of the day. Both Jem Malugin and Alyssa Kirby are both brought in kind of give the jury a sense of how Anna felt about her life. And it is clear that when Anna talked to her friends, while she didn't maybe go into the full, I'm having an affair, I want to leave Brian and his mom is crazy, she was opening up that there were cracks in the marriage. that there had been a lot of strain and Brian not wanting to take full accountability using. Now, this is something that the state is right. You do get bits and pieces of information from different people. And it has been brought up previously in the trial that Anna felt like Brian was manipulating the situation with the boys, with him basically being the sole caregiver of the boys to look pathetic so that in the federal case he would only get probation, basically throwing himself on the mercy of the court, saying, my boys have no one else, my wife is working in DC, I have to stay home. So the voir dire I don't think brought out much, other than you could tell that Jim was visibly nervous, that he was really, his lack of specificity didn't seem like it was deliberately done to mislead the jury. In fact, the opposite. It seemed like he was really trying to be very clear that he couldn't remember verbatim what Anna had said. But the gist of it was that there was a lot of cracks in the marriage, that Anna wanted to stop having to carry a lot of the load. She wanted Brian to step up, things like that. So that's kind of what we got with the first witness. I don't think Jem did a good job for either the state or the defense, but I do think, in the traditional sense, I do think that if I were a juror, I would have made note about how both Jem and Alyssa openly displayed actual grief on the stand. And I've pointed out how defendants, are damned if they do, damned if they don't. If they cry at the, table, that looks like they're, faking or putting it on. If they're stone faced, then they're, unfeeling. But I haven't noticed Brian ever show genuine sadness or grief. There have been a couple times where Anna's picture will flash up on the screen, and it doesn't look like it bothers him. And it does look like it really bothered the witnesses. And if I'm on the jury, that's something I'm going to notice, in that the defense is trying to make me buy that this was the love of his life, his soulmate. So crushed was he by the loss of his other part of his soul that he went full, slice and dice. Again, do you see how this could be a problem for you, defense, when your client looks like he is un-fucking-infected? But defense, don't let me get in your way while you're screwing this up. So while I think it was, he was a good witness, I just don't know what he added to the state. Other than we did get to kind of peek behind things, and in the way he didn't say things, you can tell that there were cracks in the marriage, which again just kind of blows up the whole defense, that, Brian was madly in love and they were all in love and look at this ring. So just odd things about that. Now, it did emerge that Jem suddenly remembered, I believe just the other day, that Anna had suggested while they were taking pictures to send one to Will Fasto. That one did stick out to me as a little odd, just because the man had been so careful and kind of wishy-washy on everything else. To make a sudden declarative, I absolutely remember that she did this, just seemed a bit out of character for what he did remember. Now, this could be something that completely happened. I'm not saying that, but it just did seem a bit odd when he really couldn't be pinned down on any one statement. This was the one statement he remembered, which, is neither here nor there. Again, I don't think that he pushed much of anything. I think if anything, he did give the jury maybe a bit of insight into the reality of what Anna was feeling and not what the defense has been pushing. There was talk about Brian's mom from this witness being very upset that the witness had held Anna's hand when Brian was possibly going to a hearing. seems like, Brian's mom's never happy with anything, but that's neither here nor there. Then we get to Marlene Ramadal, and she was the senior U.S. Probation officer for Brian. And she does kind of go through that Brian was supposed to be on a very limited schedule. He did have kind of open time slots when he was supposed to be taking his kids to school and picking them up, and then a schedule kind of routine made the week before for grocery shopping, haircuts, helping out with his mom, things like that. And she was the one that did explain that he had actually gone to a restaurant on New Year's Day. He was not supposed to go to restaurants, or if he wanted to go to a restaurant while on this particular program, he did have to get prior approval through the court. And the defense kind of said, well, it might not have been approved. So basically, Brian doesn't listen to rules. Now, that's kind of all that she went through. And she was one of the people that Brian did have to contact because, due to his conditions of parole, anytime that you have any interaction with police, you do have to call about it. So that's just kind of where that went. And then we went into a lot of different managers and kind of people that were with loss prevention to again show Brian on his quest to get the perfect murder kit from every single store in apparently Cohasset. First, we get a property manager for the Chatham West apartment complex, and we were able to see video of Brian driving up in the Volvo and throwing something away. We then get Christopher Bresconi from TJ Maxx. Brian went in there on the 4th at around 9:20 to buy, I believe, Dockers and a belt. And he used some, it looks like gift cards or something like that. I don't know what that has to do with the price of eggs in China, but we apparently, the state made clear that he had used a gift card. Then we get to the other emotional witness of the day, Alyssa Kirby. Alyssa Kirby was friends with Anna. She really didn't have any major interaction with Brian other than on Christmas Day when Anna's flight had been canceled and she was hanging out with William Fasto. And Brian did his spazzy call about to, see if Anna had died or if there had been a building explosion. He was one of the people, one of her coworkers that he had contacted. And she lived so close to Anna that she had offered to go look for her. But he contacted her back and said, no, it's fine. I found her. Anna called her on that evening as she was driving up to Massachusetts, kind of embarrassed and just irritated that, well, she said angry that Brian had, bothered other people. She hadn't, been out of his communication for too long. And she was really quite irritated that he had contacted her on Christmas Day. We then learn that Anna and Alyssa hung out on the 29th of December. They went out to a karaoke bar, a karaoke dance bar, which again sounds like the seventh circle of hell for Mo. And she talks about how Anna really kind of broke down, how this was very out of character for her. She's usually a very positive, kind of energetic person. How her relationship with Brian was on the rocks, that she was tired of being far away from the kids. She was tired of Brian basically delaying this case. Thank you so much, Major Mom. And she was just tired. Kind of like, and I'm guessing the tired she was speaking of was more emotional tired, but again, that would be an interpretation that wouldn't be allowed in court. That's my own interpretation. Thank you so much, Major Mom. But It really did seem like Anna was kind of coming to a crossroads, that she was getting to a place where she could no longer do all the things, and she needed Brian to either step up or to realize that she's going to have to do this by herself. At least that's what I kind of get out of it, but that could just be me. Now we then go into, Anna went home, and her first kind of contact with Brian once Anna was no longer around. Now it seems like she got a text from Brian around midday on the 2nd. And her being sick, she had the flu, and she, I guess, slept through that. And she finally, she texted him back on the 3rd, uh, and, asked if Brian had heard anything else. He hadn't. And Brian let her know that he would, let her know when he got in touch. Now, I guess she then got in touch with him again. Now, the testimony was stopped by objection, so I don't think they were able to get into a phone call in which Brian and his mother were both on the phone, and she characterized Brian's mother as aggressive before the defense got to, or basically said, objection. Now, the other interesting thing that did come out is that Brian and his mother went to a psychic, and the psychic said that Anna was cheating, which I say, good on you, Miss Cleo. I knew you would get something right. Again, just not so, not the most normal kind of stuff. Now, as far as what Alyssa knew about William Fasto, now this is me watching people for all of my life. I think she was aware deep down that her friend was having an affair, even if the words hadn't been spoken. But as far as what came out in testimony, Brian was aware that Anna had a crush on William Fasto, and wasn't jealous. Apparently, they were very open on who they'd like to bang if they had a hall pass. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's kind of like what they do of a Friday night. Who knows? And after all of that, we basically got a final stipulation to the federal prosecution, and Brian pleading guilty to his federal, crime. And did, go into the fact that Brian and his attorney wanted probation, and the state or the federal prosecutors wanted 30 to 38 months in prison, along with $480,000 in restitution. And then the state rested. The judge then told the jury to go, but she did make a point to say that, the state has now rested. Remember when I told you that the defense doesn't have to put on a case? This is all the burden of the state. Now, I don't know if this is something that she generally points out with every trial, or if this is, trying to give a hint that the defense is not going to be doing anything. Now, I have looked at things, and it looks like there's only 8 to possibly 10 witnesses for the defense. Now, the defense did say in an opening statement that Brian, we were going to hear Brian's own words, but it does seem like the mood in the defense has changed in the last 2 days, as far as just kind of fervor and sticking with this ridiculous story that he found her dead and panic dismembered her, as you do. So I don't know if they're reading the room, they're reading the tea leaves, and the jury's not buying it, or what's going on. But I will see you guys tomorrow at 10:30, and we will get another day on this crazy case going. I appreciate you guys all hanging out with me and keeping me company on this very freezing day in Indiana. Hagatha has not liked the cold, but you guys have kept my mind off of Hagatha, the horrible leg. So I do appreciate it. And welcome, Squid Pro Quo Raiders. Sorry, you guys just came in as we are getting ready to leave. Let me see if I can find someone on. I am going to finish this stream and get working on the what was it called? Oh, my breakdown video. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. You know, all of the grifty YouTubey things. My brain is currently at the mashed potato stage. I have no one's got anything. Okay, YouTube is being weird, which I mean, okay. Well, you guys are free to go wherever on the internet you would like to go because it's not letting me redirect. I appreciate all of you guys that hung out with me today. And, you know, if you like a morning news stream without the politics, but all the true crime and the absurd, I do a morning news stream every weekday morning at 8 a.m. We do headlines, true crime, and all the absurd, along with the cursed clips I find on YouTube. So, you know, it's always fun. It's always a blast. And, well, squirrely if we're getting snow. So I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 or 10:30, and we will see where exactly we are heading in the Hades. Y'all pray for me that we do not have to sit through old man Grandpa Simpson and his defense case, because I can't. There are not enough emotional support possums to get me through the defense case in chief. So I will see you guys in a little bit. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay warm, reach out to people that you know, and yeah, stay bundled up, guys. We're going to need it.